disability. Very clear. But that's not the path of all children who enter this spectrum. And one of the findings that has been very well documented and accepted is that many of these children were exposed to high levels of testosterone in pregnancy. Now, of course, the UK response to this is let's start doing tests on mothers, and if they have high levels of testosterone, let's offer them an abortion. Instant, as soon as this came out. But others are saying, where is the testosterone coming from? And others who have lone voices have been pointing out that the rise in autism exactly mirrors the rise in the use of the pill. Now, they're also saying, why can't we study that? But eventually a scientist will begin to study that, and will look at the fact that the birth control pill, particularly the ones used in the 70s and 80s, had a testosterone derivative and mimicker. And that already it's highly documented that it's not just people who take the pill, but everyone who shares the water supplies. Because we're already seeing the changes in animal. That's been documented over the last 20 years, is the changes in nature from the pill being used in the human, among humans. So we may find the theology of the body gets this big boost, and we are going to find this, because what happens when we ignore the Creator and when we stop studying and stop accommodating and stop cooperating with nature in any way, nutrition, gardening, whatever it is, in any sphere, we pay a price. And eventually, as that price builds up, someone who maybe faith and belief and things are the furthest thing from their mind begins to study why this is happening, why 1 in 50 boys now has developed full-blown autism, and probably another 5 or 6 other milder sections of the spectrum. And they're going to come back to the way we have tried to control nature, control the immune system in all kinds of ways, pollution, and, who knows, may come back to the way we've controlled reproduction. So I think things are going to happen despite our leaders. And what you need to do is being given the example, so that when the scientists begin to finally get honest about things, that you can show the road forward. Does that make sense? I hope.
I was told that learning at university.
Start again.
I was told learning at university that there was a clause in one of the early treaties of the European Union, I think it might be the Treaty of Rome, that any product or service legally available in one member state, but by that clause had to be legally available in all member states. And I believe the Lisbon Treaty, if passed, will supersede all previous treaties. So I'm just wondering if there are similar clauses in the Lisbon Treaty, and if there is, if you happen to know which clause it was.
Yeah, the Treaty of Rome and the different treaties all uphold the right of free movement of goods and services. In fact, they talk about the 4 European rights, and they're like movement of persons, movement of services, etc. They have nothing to do with the kind of what we think of as basic human rights. And there has been a court decision in the European Court of Justice specifically on abortion as a service that should be available across. If it's available in one, it should be available in another. And the European Court of Justice gave the decision that abortion is a service like any other, window washing or whatever, it's a service, and that it should be available. And it was because of that court decision, and because of the necessity of having a referendum on Maastricht, that we got the protocol that our government keeps quoting, this protocol that they can't get over, that they have to respect Article 43.3, which is our right to life amendment. And so that all the previous treaties are in the Lisbon Treaty. So that protocol is also in the Lisbon Treaty. And it will provide some level of protection. But it will only provide some level of protection if, for instance, the words in the Charter are interpreted in a way that will be compatible. You know, there are many legal routes to get around that. But even if they can't get around it, and this is going to be part of the subject of these guarantees that they're giving us, even if they don't get around it, and we do get to keep Amendment 43.3 for as long as the Irish people uphold that, it still doesn't apply to euthanasia. It still doesn't apply because of the recent court decisions to the embryo. And it still doesn't apply to abortion anywhere else in Europe. And, you know, a point I've tried to make to them is that if you're pro-life, it's not just about Irish babies. You know, we would like to see the day when 1 million babies a year are not destroyed in Europe. I mean, this is not just about us. And of course, we have to mind our own patch. But it's still a Holocaust, a global tragedy that's going on. So that is there, it's still there. It has a certain level of strength, but I wouldn't want to, but when it's an issue of life and death, I wouldn't want to risk anything on it.
Do we have any other questions? Okay.
Okay.
So we just once again thank